Okay, so this is the Algebra 2 review questions regarding reference angles and then other trig relationships. Okay, let's try to look into the reference angle. Reference angle is in fact the angle that is being formed by the terminal side, meaning ending side, of the angle with the x-axis. So here, once we have 175 degrees, if you had to sketch it, it would have been going towards this direction. That would be 175. Now that means what we are looking at is the terminal side, which is this one, with the x-axis. What is the measure of that angle? That's how we can figure out the reference angle, which will be, in fact, in this case, since the straight line is 180 degrees, this becomes 5 degrees. So we end up getting reference angle is 5 degrees. How about 285? Once you look into the simple sketch of x-axis and y-axis, 285 would have been going a bit more than 270. So let us say it's going to be somewhere around here. This will be 285. Then, how do you find the reference angle? Once again, the reference angle is angle with the x-axis. Since the entire circle would have been 360, and then we are going all the way up to 285, so we end up getting 360 minus 285. Then we get to realize that this must be 75. So 75 degrees becomes our reference angle. 290 is exactly the same manner as this one. Instead of going around 285, we'll be going all the way to 290, which is 5 more degrees. So therefore, our reference angle will be simply 70 degrees. All right, so here we want to express each given function value in terms of the function value with the positive or acute angles, meaning we're looking at the reference angle. So first of all, when you look into the sine of 215, you will realize that 215 is on the third quadrant. On the third quadrant, sine is negative, so we're going to have negative sine. Now, in the third quadrant, as we have done it earlier, the reference angle is simply 215 minus 180. We end up getting 35 degrees. So we end up getting negative sine of 35 degrees. That becomes our answer. Cosine. 312 degrees, that's on the fourth quadrant. On the fourth quadrant, cosine is still positive, so we're going to have simply cosine of. Now, reference angle here becomes 360 minus 312, which becomes 48 degrees. So that becomes our answer. How about cosine of 245? That's on the third quadrant. On the third quadrant, cosine is negative, so we have to write down negative cosine. And what is the reference angle? That's right, 245, but we have to subtract 180 to get the differences. Then we end up getting 65 degrees. How about 500? 500, if you think about it, one time around the circle will be 360. And if you go further up, then this becomes adding 90, which becomes 450, and if you have to go all the way here, it will be 540. But we are going up to 500, then that means it's going to be somewhere up to here. In other words, 40-degree difference to the x-axis. So therefore, we'll end up getting sine of 40 degrees. But what is the sine of the sine function or sine ratio in the second quadrant? It is positive, so we can just leave this one as it is. Alright, now we want to find the two values of the angle here. Let's try to look at number 30. In order for us to do that, we'll look into the graphing calculator here. So to find the angle, we have to go for second tangent, arctangent, right? And then put in the value, 0.3240. Now, Since these are in degrees, I'll make sure that I have things in degrees. Since I don't have it, I'm going to go to degrees, press enter, and then quit. And here, if I press enter, then we'll get to realize it's going to be 17.9 degrees. Now, since we are looking at the nearest degree, we can simply say that this will be equal to 18 degrees. So now, when you think about it, when do you have tangent to be positive? Yes, it is on the first quadrant. So therefore, 18 degrees, not 180 degrees, 18 degrees here. So we end up getting this is equal to tangent of 18 degrees. Or, since tangent is positive on the third quadrant with the reference angle of 18 degrees, then another one will be tangent of 198 degrees. Now let's look into the second one. So, second sine of negative 0.0523. And if I press enter, that's basically what we end up getting. Here, that means since sine is negative, then we are looking at third or fourth quadrant with a reference angle of basically 3 degrees. Then here we have 3 degrees. That means sine of 183 degrees. So that in this way, 3 degrees over to the third quadrant. Or sine of 357 degrees, which will be 3 degrees less from the non-negative x-axis. So therefore, we end up getting these two answers. How about tangent? Tangent is negative. That means we're looking at second and fourth quadrant. And using a calculator, we can see that second tangent of negative 9.5141. And if you press enter, then we end up getting this something like this. And as you can see, the angle that which we are looking at is 84 degrees. So here we have tangent is negative. That means on the second quadrant. So therefore tangent, second quadrant with the reference angle of 84, that means we are looking at 96 degrees. Or tangent is negative from the fourth quadrant, so therefore with the reference angle of 84 degrees, then we're going to have tangent of 276 degrees. Let's go for the last two. Second sine of negative 0.1392. Gets us 8 degrees basically. Negative sine, when do we have sine to be negative? Yes, third and fourth quadrant. So therefore, our answer becomes sine of third quadrant with the reference angle of 8. That means we are looking at 188 degrees. Or sine of 352 degrees. Now cosine of 0. When do we have cosine of 0? Yes, that's right. We get to have cosine equal to 0 when the angle is 90. So we have cosine of 90, or the reference angle of 90 on the other side would have been cosine of 270 degrees. Alright, so that's it. Have a nice day. Bye.